Hey, it's me, Joseph. I've just heard about Link Vrain's Pack 3, and I'm super excited for the new Melodious support. I just know the Link monster is going to be the voice of a generation, so I've invited them here, without reading the card, for a private, in-person showing. That's them now! Beautiful. Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. Just when I thought my brain was going to atrophy from overexposure to Striker, Orchest, Salad, and Thunder, Konami's YugiTuber boredom radar went off and we got Link Vrain's Pack 3 spoilers. So you know, you're welcome for that. There's a lot of cool stuff in here that enables a ton of interesting archetypes, but the first one that popped out to me has got to be the most broken legacy support since, well, Ostinato. Presenting Melodious. So here's the list, and yes! Extravagance returns! How I have missed you. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you that don't know, Melodious is the archetype piloted by the deuteragonist, a word I had to Google, of Arc V. It's an archetype of singers, you know, for the girl character, who all do completely different things in classic main character adjacent fashion. The most important of the monsters are Aria the Melodious Diva, who prevents Melodious monsters from being targeted or destroyed by battle if she's been special summoned, and Elegy the Melodious Diva, who prevents destruction under the same conditions. Previous versions of the deck do their best to special summon these two monsters and then sit on them for long enough that their opponent decides to make the switch to MTG now that Oko is banned. Enter Bloom Harmonist, the Melodious Virtuoso. This melodic mouthful is a veritable spiral double helix for the archetype. She's flexible, easy to make, and most importantly, enables the entirety of their game plan. If you can call it that. With almost 100% consistency, the deck can now end on a board of Elegy and Aria, both special summoned and ready for the tanking. What you do from there is anybody's guess, but the idea is that particular play is strong enough that you're afforded a near infinite amount of time to find something to do. Of course, because Link monsters aren't able to be switched to defense position, you'll need to lose that pesky Harmonist, but Soprano and the fusions are an easy follow-up to ensure you'll be able to duck behind your defensive wall indefinitely. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, our suite of Garnets. I'm playing one of each of them because they all resolve the other's problems. Mozarta, Chopina, and Elegy. After that are the normals, Aria and Soprano, followed by our free specials, Canon and Sonata. For hand traps, we're on 3 Ash and 3 Valor, since we've basically got to be Ding and only Ding. After that are our spells, 3 Ostinato, the 1-card Aria Elegy lock, 3 First Movement Solo, another free special, 3 Cosmic to out all manner of problem spells, a Monster Reborn, 3 Called by the Grave, and yes, 3 Extravagance. Feels good to say that again. Finally, we're on 3 Impermanents. In the extra deck, we're on an Extravagance board of 3 Schuberta, 3 Bloom Diva, our secret win con, 3 Unicorn, 3 Phoenix, and 3 Harmony herself. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against my old nemesis, Dark Magician. Is that a pot of extravagance in their hand? I suppose this will be the ultimate test as to whether chat was right about my DM build. We are going first, and our hand is immaculate. We'll lead with a copy of Pot of Extravagance, showing our opponent how it's done, drawing a copy of Ostinato and an Aria. We'll go into a Schuberta, normal summon a copy of Soprano, before Link summoning a Bloom Harmonist to get a Mozarta and an Elegy, because of course the Aria is already in our hand. We'll pass it back to our opponent, who will draw a Dark Magician for turn. They'll lead with the Pot of Extravagance of their own, and that's as good a card as any to Ash. Our opponent will then activate Dark Magical Circle, making us feel the punish, before special summoning a copy of Apprentice, adding the remaining Dark Magician to hand, and special summoning it from Graveyard with Souls. They'll attack into our Link monster for notably under-lethal, before setting 1 card and passing it back to us. For turn we draw Called by the Grave. I move my monsters to attack position and proceed to battle phase, attacking over Apprentice first, because of course she has a battle phase effect. I keep this Called in hand because I expect that set card is Eternal Soul. Turns out, it's not. Our opponent's going to normal summon a copy of Magician's Rod to get a Dark Magical Circle, which will find another fusion spell. They'll go into the Dark Magicians and attack into our Link monster twice. Notably, we are still well above 4,000 life points, so we're not in any imminent danger. We draw an Infinite Impermanence, and unfortunately we are just a little bit off here, I think 100 attack points off of lethal, but we should have this locked up, provided we set the remainder of our hand. For turn, our opponent draws a copy of Magician's Souls. They will activate the effect, but unfortunately for them, they have a second copy engraved, fresh for the Called Buying. Its effect effect is negated, so they'll set it and pass it back to us. From here, it's an easy victory. We'll activate Cosmic Cyclone to sniff out that set card before going to battle phase and attacking directly for lethal. That's what games can look like when your opponent's game plan isn't competent enough to out your turn 1 board. Unfortunately, the second series' ace has fared much better than the first. Our second match is up against Hero, and our opponent unfortunately has several ways to OTK us through our first turn setup. Vision Hero Trinity does it by himself, as does Adoration, and under certain conditions, Bane can blow up our board as well. We're going to have to use this effect Veiler very sparingly. We're going to lead with a copy of Pot of Extravagance, which will of course find the material necessary to link summon a copy of Bloom Harmonist. We will discard a second Pot of Extravagance to set up the board and pass it back to our opponent. Our opponent's got basically everything. They'll lead with a copy of Vision Hero Ferris, setting an increase. They'll activate Increase's effect to get a copy of Vion from deck. They'll activate Vion, setting a copy of Shadow Mist in order to add a copy of Honesty Neos to hand. That's a problem. Next, they'll Fusion Destiny for a Dystopia before link summoning a Cross Guy to get that Dystopia back. They'll activate Dynatag on this Dystopia before special summoning a Malicious, activating Cross Guy, and then activating Polymerization for Adoration. Unfortunately, we are going to have to Veiler that. They proceed to battle phase regardless, and I do some counting. I don't think I'm dead here, even with Honesty Neos. In fact, we live at a healthy 1200 life points until I see the mask change, the Anki, and the end of the game. So, it's time for Game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's on Salamangreat. We elected not to play against Orchist because losing to summoning Dingirsu isn't particularly interesting to watch. They're going first. Let's see if we can set up through their first turn board. They're going to lead with a copy of Flame Buffalo into Balinks. God, I just love the way this chain works. They're going to get a copy of Sanctuary to hand before drawing a couple of cards and triggering the Grave Effect of Foxy. They'll special Spinny and Sea Archiver as well before link summoning a Mirage Stalio to get a Jack Jaguar from deck. They'll then go into Sunlight Wolf, Balinks triggering the Sunlight Wolf, and I wait just a little too long on Effect Veiler and am punished for it. They'll set 2 cards and pass it back to me. Okay, well, Pot of Extravagance should fiend a Roar if there is one. It does not, so we'll activate Ostinato and the effect of Schuberta. They activate Infinite Impermanence here. That's a shame. I really would have liked to have banished those cards. So we'll normal summon a copy of Soprano. They will enemy controller our Soprano on activation, which for some reason still allows me to fusion summon. We'll then link summon a copy of Bloom Harvest, and we've built the board. Okay, let's see them out this. The next thing our opponent's going to do is bring back this Jack Jaguar by putting this Foxy back in deck and returning the Flame Buffalo to hand. They'll special Spinny and normal summon Lady Debug for Gazelle. Oh, Update Jammer. Oh, this isn't how we're going to lose this game, is it? Oh, shoot. It's the biggest bungus on the block, Borreload Dragon. Unfortunately, he neither targets nor destroys, so he is this deck's worst enemy. We've drawn a copy of Sonata, which does less than nothing. We'll go into his second Bloom Harmonist, but unfortunately by this point our opponent has set up, has a Roar, and will concede. So it's time for Game 2, and I won't delay this any longer. I have a pretty clear understanding of how this one is going to play out. At the very least, we're going first. We'll lead with a copy of First Movement Solo before we normal summon a copy of Soprano and link summon a Bloom Harmonist. We'll go into Aria and Mozarta here because, of course, we've drawn the Elegy. Our opponent will activate Sea Archiver on our turn, broken! They're going to lead with a copy of Salamangreat Foxy. They'll trigger the effect of Foul in hand to special summon it. Off the top, they find Will of the Salamangreat. They'll link summon a copy of Balinks to get a copy of Sanctuary. They'll activate Signet Mining for Gazelle before activating the effect of Gazelle and sending a copy of Roar to Graveyard. They'll Wolf into Wolf under the effect of Sanctuary, adding back the Roar, then activating Will on Wolf, special summoning 2 monsters from Graveyard. That puts the Foul back in hand and enables the Update Jammer play. They're going to reset this copy of Will with Falco, God that's strong, and then take everything relevant from our board. They'll activate Enemy Controller as well, tributing their freshly taken monster so they can wipe the board in a slightly more indecent way before ending on a Transcode Talker and a set copy of Roar. We rip the best card in our deck off the top of our deck, but of course they have the Roar set, so it's no big deal to our opponent. We'll normal summon a Soprano and resign ourselves to our fate. So we're back with the deck, and yeah, sadly, that's about exactly what I expected. This shouldn't have come as a surprise to any of my stream viewers, but I was hoping for a little bit better. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it's consistent. I mean, there's almost no way to fail to open the combo, and there's often ways to set it up through Ash Blossom by baiting with Ostinato. 2, it's pretty powerful. I mean, while a couple of dinguses packing Dingirsu can ruin your day, there are a ton of decks with no out to the lock. And 3, the deck's biggest weakness, the attack position Link monster, is easily resolved by Soprano's effect, using it as material for Bloom or Schuberta depending on what the situation demands. And the cons. So one, the deck is extremely xenophobic. You're not able to special summon anything but Melodious the turn you activate Big Bloom's effect, meaning you're locked out of Rogue's extremely powerful suite of options like Pankratops and Super Poly. 2, the Link monster is a huge choke point. If they Ash the Harmonizer, your trio suddenly becomes a solo. And what's worse, she's the second alto. And 3, every single deck has an out to this. I didn't really realize it until I played out some games, but oh my god, everything competent has something that beats this. Striker wins with Hayate, Orchest can fire Dingirsu, Salad and Thunder make Borreload, Guru can Fiendus the Soprano, and beat over Harmonizer with Final Battle. Pendulum, of course, has several thousand ways to break the board. Gren Maju even has an out, for Christ's sakes. Unfortunately, you're gonna find yourself outclassed provided your opponent is packing anything more potent than Dark Magician. All in all, it's trash. I mean, unfortunately, no matter how effective Legacy support is at enabling a game plan, it isn't worth a handful of altos if it doesn't lead to a cohesive whole. So that's that. While I appreciate all of my viewers, a special thanks to my patrons, especially Tyler Slacks, Crispy, Sir Tachyon, Mika Reichman, Distrin, Lucas Geardis, Adam Trevino, 2nd, Lieutenant Labcoat, Fighting Fang Wong, Meatmoto27, Burrito Man 93, Adrian Bra, Adam Sunquist, Isaac Jackson, and Donnie Fillerup. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing, and if you want to be part of the process, follow me on Twitch as well. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.